guys, Comic Boom here to review Catwoman number 3. Joelle Jones continues to impress. This story picks up right at the end of the last issue with Selina Kyle sort of infiltrating the sort of exotic nightclub headquarters of, Governor Creel, who recently announced that he was he was no longer going to be running for governor because he's fighting cancer. And Governor Creel apparently didn't bother telling his wife, Raina Creel. And Raina Creel, she's really the bad person. She's really the bad guy. She's the villain. She's sort of like a mafia. So Raina Creel is the one who, behind the scenes, over the decades, got her husband, the governor, to run for political office. She's really the power behind the man, so to speak. And she has she's the one who uses a lot of plastic surgery. And she's beautiful on the outside, but is in fact a very ugly person because she's allowed her body and her true physicality to be destroyed over time through drugs and all kinds of different makeups and plastic surgeries, and I'm sure some very poor internal physical health. But it's quite clear that Raina Creel basically controls the city, and basically Raina Creel uses her minions to basically confront Selina and say, look, you're in our city now, you do things our way. And of course Selina meets with I believe it's the son of Raina Creel, and basically Selina's there to basically tell him, I don't appreciate you guys hiring a bunch of copycats and kill a bunch of cops and I get the blame for it. I don't appreciate you doing that. And basically, they're basically telling them, look, we control the police, we can do what we want. We're the Creel family, and you're going to do what we want. And if you don't do what we want, we're going to hurt you. And Selina, of course, she doesn't play ball, and she ends up getting into a fight, and it's almost as if she gets beat up by a bunch of old people, and an old man and an old lady sort of push her out of the top of a building, and she lands on top of a car. I mean, she literally falls 4 stories on top of a car, and she seems to be fine. I gotta tell you, at first I didn't realize, but I realized that I thought this cover never appeared in the actual comic, but it actually does, I guess, sort of quasi-symbolically, or whatever the hell the word is, because she gets injured by falling 4 stories, landing on a car, but she wasn't in her Catwoman suit, and she ends up in a bathtub full of ice because she ends up with 2 broken ribs and a lot of scrapes and bruises and bleeding. And she basically she's healing, but she needs more time to heal. But as is often the case with superheroes, despite being injured, she goes out as Catwoman to try to take on to solicit some help and to take on the bad guys. And it's quite clear. Joelle Jones' art's fantastic. She's particularly good at the final the last 3 or 4 pages where Selina Kyle is jumping off and around the rooftops, and Selina is clearly in pain from her previous injuries sustained earlier in the issue against the Creel family, and she ends up confronting her sister, and I'm not sure, I forget what her sister's name is. It's not Holly Robinson. That's her best friend. That's in the pages of Batman. Selina does in fact have a sister. I can't remember the name, but one of you guys I'm sure is going to correct me on this. It's going to be interesting. Why is Selina Kyle going to try to talk to her sister? At first I thought this maybe was Oracle, but of course it can't be Oracle because Oracle doesn't exist in the Rebirth universe. I thought maybe this was Barbara Gordon, but clearly it isn't. It's intended, it very clearly, apparently is Selina Kyle's sister. How is her sister going to play a role, and how can her sister help her against the Creel family? Basically, Selina is all alone in this city. She's all alone in this city. She's only one person. How does she expect to essentially take on the mob in the city she's in? I don't really know what's in store. I don't know what Joelle Jones has in store, but I got to tell you, the art here is really good. Joelle Jones, once again, it's particularly good. We get Creel's origin, and the governor doesn't even bother telling his wife that he's going to drop out of the race. She's very upset with him, so upset with him that she basically, she does something rather truly Black Widow-like. You can read between the lines on that. As a matter of fact, just like all Black Widows generally well, we hear that expression, if you call a woman a black widow, she generally tends, at least in family law circles, if a woman's a black widow, she generally tends to go through men rather quickly and use them and abuse them and discard them for their money and then move on. Uh, there's no question that Raina Creel is like a black widow. And in fact, I'm surprised that they don't give her that name. But I guess the name Black Widow is taken by Marvels. But she's really like a Black Widow. A good name for her would be Black Widow. She's the Black Widow to her husband here, and I think that would be a great name for a villain in the context of this story. But alas, it'll never happen. But in any event, Joelle Jones, I'm really impressed with this. I really like this story. It's building. It's interesting. It's a great villain. It's you got some sympathy for the villain, while at the same time you realize that this villain is a real bitch, hard ass, and cold-hearted, and yet there's still some intrigue there. So guys, tell me what you think of Catwoman. If you know who's the name of Selina's sister, please remind me in the comments below. And until next time, Comic Boom out.